Gerard Bailey joining us now live near that candle factory in Mayfield, Kentucky with the very latest. Gerard.
Rudabeh, that candle factory is just a little ways to the southwest of town. The National Guard has been very tightly securing anyone going in or out, including media, because of how difficult of a situation. They're still looking for potential victims that may still be in there. But there is damage widespread across this town, and it went right through the heart of it, really causing some of the worst, not far from where we're standing. But there's still a lot to be seen all across this town, not just at that candle factory, but we do know that there was some loss of life there. Tonight, I have a special guest. I'm very glad to bring him on tonight. He is a storm damage expert, an engineer, and he has been an influence to me, but it's also the fact that he's been a storm chaser for so long. Tim Marshall, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
I will happily shake your hand. Tim is just an amazing mentor to a lot of us meteorologists, but what's amazing is to have him on the ground. Tim, you have covered so much more storm damage than just about anyone alive. Maybe Ted Fujita, the inventor of the Fujita scale, might have seen something close to what you've seen, but your eyes have an ability to see things in the damage that maybe others haven't. Can you talk about what you saw today as an engineer and what that storm damage really means to you? What did you find out?
Well, first of all, Dr. Fujita is an inspiration for me, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I go in and I'm looking at the destruction, but you know, when I look at that, it's Mother Nature's fingerprint, and it tells a story about how these buildings are failing. And so I'm able to find the fatal flaws in these buildings and then publish a paper on it and talk to people about it so that maybe we can correct some of these fatal flaws. Now, I'm not saying we can withstand these kind of very high-end tornadoes, but we can certainly protect some of the occupants inside so they are not crushed by the falling debris. That's one of the big killers.
Certainly. I mean, you literally look at the nuts and bolts of what's going on out here in each one of these buildings. Was there something in particular? I remember you mentioned the water tower here. What was that significance to you?
Well, we don't see very many water tower failures because water towers are a small number of overall types of buildings. So I was very interested in that because that was a substantial water tower. It was, bolted down to concrete piers, and I wanted to see, why did that water tower fail? And I went in there, and I think I have a pretty good idea. Obviously we have the strong winds that are involved with it, but we also there were not as many bolts as I would like to have seen there anchoring it down.
So we can make improvements to what we've seen here.
Yes.
And you've got just some small ideas, and I understand that sometimes it can be as simple as adding a few cents to a dollar on spending on some of the building materials just to make them safe enough or safer than a total failure. Is that correct?
I promote the ABCs, anchors, braces, and connections.
Wow.
That's what I do.
Wow. So Tim Marshall, just an expert in what he can do and his field. He's really instrumental after the fact to come in. He is really one of those guys that come down with a magnifying glass, and we're talking about a real whiz that can find all those little pieces and really come up with some things that may potentially save lives in the future. So we're very thankful to have Tim out here tonight. I know he's going to be traveling with the National Weather Service, looking at more of these indicators to try to hopefully better this community and many others that have been impacted, and maybe one day we'll save more lives with some of his suggestions. We're hopeful for that. Rudabeh.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.